Alright, so before I get started, I just want to make it clear that I'm not trying to force anyone to have kids or make anyone have kids. If you don't want to have kids, this video probably isn't for you. This video is mostly for people that want to have kids, but they are having doubts or second thoughts about it due to an external reason. And in this video, I want to touch up on quite a few things that, for those of you who don't know, I'm a dad. I have a 13-month-old daughter. And, I want to talk about my experience a little bit and go over a few things that people have asked or people that, have told me what they're worried about and, what's kind of stopping them from having kids. Like, they want to have kids, but these things are holding them back a little bit. So, the first one that I want to talk about is, a big one is financial worry. So, now this is completely normal. The only two things that I wish I did differently was be more established in my career and buy a house. But in no ways do I regret having a kid or anything like that. Me and my fiance now, we were only together for 4 months before she ended up getting pregnant. And I don't regret that at all. That has not been a problem at all. But we make it work. We have a 2-bedroom apartment right now. It's enough room for us three because it's just me, my fiance, and our daughter, and it works. But the financial worry, that is definitely a real valid concern. But listen, you're never gonna feel like you have enough money, no matter what. So like I said, if you're established in your career and if your goal is to buy a house, I would probably get those two things taken care of first. But listen, it's not impossible to do. You don't need a home to have a kid, right? Yes, you need to have some type of income coming in, of course, but, you can still manage, as long as you have a set path on where you want to go. I wouldn't stress out about that so much. Just have a decent foundation. And I would prefer that you can definitely live on your own. You don't want to have to deal with living with other people, whether it's either one of your guys' parents or family members or, moving with roommates with the kid. I recommend that you are at least able to afford to, even if it is just renting an apartment, whatever it is, or renting a house, a condo, whatever, as long as you can put a roof over your guys' head, you're fine. And just use this as motivation to, get to that next point, whether it's a house or whatever your goals is. Don't view it as a burden, view it as a motivation source, right? So that'll lead me to my next point, is fear of losing personal freedom. So with this is part of life, unfortunately. You don't have the same freedoms as you did when you were a kid. You can start off by, you have a job, you have a career. Yes, that's going to take away some of your personal time and personal things or personal time that you have to just, do whatever you want. Unfortunately, that has happens. And that is the reality of having a kid. You are going to have less time for yourself, but you still have time. You can still make time for yourself. Once it is a little difficult at first, but once you develop a routine with your partner and your child or children, it gets better and it gets easier. You will be able to schedule your time in that you need. And listen, I'm not gonna lie and sugarcoat it. Yes, you will lose some of your free time, but it's, like I said, it's worth it. It's part of life. It's like having, you don't have to get a job, but it's part of life. You want to advance in life, you want to live a good life, you need to have these things. So if having a kid is one of your goals, I'm just here to tell you that it's definitely worth the little time that you do lose, because spending the time with your family or just your child, whatever it is, it's worth it. It is worth it. And you're not going to view it, once you're in the situation, the position, you're not going to view it as losing your personal time. That is going to be your time, but like I said, you always have time for yourself. You will find it. And once you guys develop a little routine, it'll be a little bit more clearer. The next one will be added responsibilities. Yes, another one that I'm not going to lie or sugarcoat. Yes, of course, you are going to have more responsibilities, but I can compare it again with having a job, having a career. Yes, that just comes with becoming an adult. More responsibilities are on your plate, but that's not a bad thing. It gives you a purpose. It gives you a drive, a motivation source to keep improving in life, whether that's mentally, physically, in your career, in knowledge, just in general. And that is something that I would use as a motivational source. It's not a bad thing just because you have more responsibilities, more things to get done. You know, you got to schedule doctor's appointments. You got to make sure the baby is fed. You know, she has clothes, toys, all these things. Yes, they are responsibilities. And yes, and it can be scary, especially because, you know, you're responsible for another human being, you know, and it's a little human, you know. So yeah, again, not going to sugarcoat it, but it's not a bad thing at all. It's a good thing, and you learn a lot from being a parent. Before I get into this next topic here, I just want to just quickly say, if there's anything I'm not covering in this video, please leave it down below in the comments. That's something that might be holding you back, or your opinion on having kids and becoming a parent. And if I don't cover it in this video, please let me know in the comments, and I'm going to try, as always, I'm going to try to respond to every comment. All right? But yes, the next one here is the impact on your relationship between you and your partner. Now, yes, this is another valid fear of having, and yes, it can change, of course, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing. You guys just have to learn. This can be, though, with anything. If one of you guys gets a new job, you know, maybe you're working nights and they work mornings. You know, my point is that it can happen with anything. And yes, can a kid change the relationship? Yes. I mean, let's be honest. The kid will always have an impact on the relationship, but again, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Again, once you develop a routine, and once everything is a little more flowing, I should say, it becomes easier, and you guys will still have time to do things, right? You guys will still be able to go out on dates. You guys will still have your alone time together. You can still do what you want to do, right? I shouldn't say that 100% of the time, yes, because obviously you have a kid. This comes with, like I said earlier, with the added responsibilities and losing some personal freedom. Yes, that comes with a kid. But again, we have to flip the switch, and instead of viewing it as just, you know, you and your partner, it's you have a baby that you do stuff with, or a child that you guys spend family time together. But that doesn't mean that you don't have time for just you two alone, you and your partner. No, there will always be time. You guys can make time. It definitely helps if you have family and friends around, but worst case scenario, you can get a babysitter if you really needed to get out of the house for a little bit, just you two. You know, there's daycare. The opportunities are endless. You know, there is plenty of ways that you can get some free time with your partner. Is it going to be the same? No, because even when you do, you have to worry about the child. You have to worry about the baby first, right? So it's normal. Yes, it will change a little bit. It'll have an impact, but it does not have to be a bad thing. And yes, you will still have opportunity to have that one-on-one time with your partner. The next one I want to discuss is uncertainty about parenting skills. Again, this is valid, but unfortunately, yes, there's books and there's online stuff. I didn't bother wasting time reading any of that stuff, because here's the thing. I don't believe, at least, there's no book, there's no course, there's no article, there's nothing that can prepare you for parenthood. Every child's different, every situation's different. So to me, there's not just a one-shot solution for everything. No, you have to live through it, right? And that's the only way, and you're going to make mistakes along the way, as with anything in life, but you will figure out what your best parenting style is. And this is another thing that I've always kind of felt, but sometimes you might have to adjust your parenting style based off your child. And this could be every child you might have to parent a little different. Some kids might take discipline, they might react to certain ways of disciplining them. You might have to, discipline them in different ways. So that's something where you will learn as the process. Yes, you want to have I'm not saying change your rules or anything like that, but the way you have to discipline them could be different depending on the child and how they react to things and how they learn and how they listen. And that's unfortunately something where you're not going to know until you're there. So listen, again, everybody feels that way. So I wouldn't let that hold you back. That's a very valid worry that a lot of parents have leading up to having a kid. But listen, like I said, everyone feels like that. And listen, You will be fine. You will figure it out. Once your back's against the wall, you can only go forward. You can't turn back, right? So, yeah, I wouldn't worry about that super much. It's completely normal, but you will figure it out. Trust me. All right. And the next one is, you might feel that you have a lack of support system, especially if you don't live around family or friends. Maybe you moved, or maybe your family moved and you're kind of by yourself. And that's okay. Unfortunately, I don't have a ton of experience with that. Luckily, I do have a pretty good support system. Both our families are pretty good. My fiance's dad was huge, helping out with us with formula. He would buy it when he can, which was a huge help. Her aunt was very helpful, and then my mom, my grandmother, my dad's side of the family, everyone was very helpful, and they all live pretty close by, within a 20-minute radius, so extremely helpful. So unfortunately, I'm not too sure. I don't have personal experience on what that feels like to not have, a solid support system. But listen, you just got to work with what you have, and you just got to make the best out of it. And like I said earlier, if you need to, have some daycare, get a babysitter, if that's what you got to do, it's what you got to do, even just for a season of time. But especially this is probably more for moms, but there are like groups that you can get, like there's Mommy and Me stuff. There's apps, there's like group chats on Facebook where, moms can meet. So I definitely suggest for the moms to do that. I'm sure there's probably something for dads too, but I think this is more of like a mom thing, depending on your dynamic. For me, my fiance is a stay-at-home mom, so yes, this is more for me. That's what I would probably do, is try to have, your mother of your child look into groups like that. That way she can find a network, a group of friends of moms, even if it's just one or two, that they can go out together. They can, discuss things and just kind of just feel like it's, they can have people that relate to them, right? So I think that's the best bet if you lack support systems. Next one is the fear of not being able to provide a good life for, your family and your kid. So again, another normal thing. This is something that I'm experiencing right now. Things are looking up, but yeah, like I said, it was not easy at first. And this is why, like I said before, that I wish that I was more established in my career and in pest control, and I wish I had a home before, having a kid. But again, it's not a regret or anything like that. It's if I could change anything, that would be the two things I definitely would. So listen, and that's my point of view. That's my journey. I guess that's how I want to look at it for my future. Everyone's future might be a little different. So listen, I would just bullet point a couple things that you want to have, right? Be stern about it, and don't go so crazy. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, I need to have $100,000 in the bank. And I mean, listen, if that's what you want to do, you can do it. But listen, you don't feel like you need that. If that's what you want, go for it. But you don't need that. You don't need some crazy goal here, or you got to wait till your house is paid off before you. No, you don't. Listen, you don't have to go crazy, but have a few things that you want. I would write them down, and once you check those things off, you can feel a little bit better about deciding to have the kid. That means you prove to yourself that you're ready to have a kid, right? So that's that one. And the last one I want to just touch up on is desire to maintain your career or personal goals. So now, like, this kind of ties back into not having as much time, freedom, added responsibilities. Yes, your career, personal goals, such as if you want to start a business or a side hustle, it can suffer a little bit because you don't have as much time. But listen, again, this is why, for me, it works out. My fiance likes to stay-at-home mom, so for me, I'm the one that's just, making the money right now. Like I said, I can make this YouTube channel. Since I got my new job, I don't have to work my other two jobs anymore. That's what I was doing, DoorDash, working at Target. So a few little things there, but I don't have to do those things anymore, luckily. So now I just, I'm going to be working like 60 hours a week at my job, but that's okay. I do that, and then I work on YouTube. So that's pretty much what I do. Again, everyone's personal goals might be different, but what I was saying earlier is use this as a motivational source. Don't view it as a burden, like, oh, I have a kid, I have a family now, I can't do this. No, make time. You might have to sacrifice some of your personal time, your quote unquote freedom, but that's okay. Even if it's just for like a season, a year, 2 years, whatever it is, you might have to do that. But again, if what your goals are, what your careers, don't shut them down. Don't give up on your goals just because you had a family or you had a kid. Like that's not what you do. Don't let that be a burden. Don't let that hold you back just because you had a kid, or start a family. No, you should use it as a motivational source, and it should push you harder, into achieving those goals and growing in your career. So I think that's it. I covered a lot here. Please let me know if I missed anything, that's something that is on your mind and that maybe is holding you back for having a kid. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.